man dressed in purple garments and fine linen. It's kind of like, that's the first century way of saying he wore an Armani suit. And he dined sumptuously each day. Okay? He only went to 5-star restaurants. And Lazarus was at his door, who longed to eat the scraps that fell from the rich man's table. Okay? Like, that was an opportunity to turn his losses into gain. The scraps, the crumbs, he had no use for. Okay? It was an opportunity to turn his losses into gain. But St. Augustine says that the covetousness of the rich is insatiable. Okay? It also kind of blinds us to the needs of others. Okay? And that covetousness, that injustice cries out to God for vengeance. And so the rich man treats his dog better than he treats treats Lazarus. Okay? He gives the dogs the scraps. And the dog licks the sores of Lazarus. It's like the beast has more compassion for Lazarus than the rich man. Okay? The dog has more sympathy toward him than the rich man. And we, to bring it up to date, we say Lazarus is still at the gate. Okay? The poor, the unborn, they're still with us. Okay? In that first reading, we have the prophet Amos. Amos is the prophet of social justice. He says, "Woe to the complacent in Zion, lying on beds of ivory, stretched comfortably on their couches." Okay? They say that capitalism can devolve into individualism. Okay? Like individualism ignoring the needs of others, like only focused on ourselves. And it can become this insatiable desire for material things. And so the gospel is about the condemnation of the complacent rich. St. John Chrysostom says, "Those who love money are fierce in their pursuit of it, like wild animals pursuing their prey. No chains of conscience prohibit them." St. Thomas Aquinas makes a distinction between the right to ownership and the proper use of things. He says, we all have a right to ownership because we've worked or because we've inherited, we've received. But the right to use things, we must use things first for the common good, not for our own. Okay? So the first priority in the use of our goods is the common good, not our own. Leo XIII said, "Once the demands of necessity and propriety are met, everything else we own belongs to the poor." Like we say, Lazarus is still at the gate. And the gospel calls us to attend to him, to take care of him and his needs. Father Robert Barron says this gospel is like an irritant. It irritates us. It's meant to get under our skin. He says it's like that irritant that causes the oyster to produce the pearl. Good is meant to come from it. And see, wealth can isolate us or it can serve God's purposes. And the Archbishop in Chicago, Cardinal George, says that the poor need the rich to get them out of poverty. But he adds that the rich need the poor to keep them out of hell. Okay? So there's this mutual benefit between the rich and the poor. Well, the question is, where are we to deposit our money? Well, where are we to get the highest dividends? Where is the safest safe deposit box, the most secure bank vault? Well, they say the safest vault in which we can store our material goods is to deposit them in the hands of God. He that giveth to the poor lends to the Lord. Okay? God becomes his debtor. It's been said, I've never seen the generous man in need, okay? Because God is never outdone in generosity. So the gospel reminds us that the temporal always passes away, but that which follows is eternal. Great sufferings are exchanged for great blessings in eternity. So we pray that we might recognize Lazarus at our doorstep, and that we might use our goods, put our goods in the best safe deposit box of all, to deposit them in the hands of God. To give to the poor is to lend to the Lord.